The 2022-23 NBA season began quietly in Denver. There wasn't much noise around the Nuggets outside of Colorado. Most of the national talk was about the Warriors defending their crown, the Celtics' young stars aiming for redemption, or the Suns reloading for another deep playoff run. But in the thin air of the Rocky Mountains, something different was building. It wasn't flashy or loud. It was a quiet confidence, shaped by years of disappointment, heartbreak, and growth. The Denver Nuggets were coming off a season where they finished sixth in the Western Conference and were eliminated in the first round by the Golden State Warriors. Nikola Jokic, the two-time reigning MVP, had done everything he could. But without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., both recovering from serious injuries, the Nuggets' chances were limited. Still, those setbacks built a kind of patience and toughness in the team. Head coach Michael Malone preached consistency and trust. The front office, led by Calvin Booth, focused on surrounding Jokic with the right mix of defenders, shooters, and veterans who understood their roles. By the time the 2022-23 season tipped off, the Nuggets were healthy again. Jamal Murray was finally back after missing 18 months due to a torn ACL. His return wasn't just about points or assists, it was emotional. He had gone through rehab with the weight of unfinished business. The last time he had played meaningful basketball was during the 2020 NBA bubble, where he and Jokic had led Denver to its first-ever Western Conference Finals. That run had shown flashes of what the Nuggets could be, but now the expectations were higher. Michael Porter Jr. was back too, ready to prove his back injuries wouldn't define his career. And then there were new faces. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a champion with the Lakers, brought defensive toughness and experience. Bruce Brown came in as a versatile guard who could defend multiple positions and attack the rim. Aaron Gordon, now in his third season with Denver, had found his perfect role, not as a star, but as an enforcer who could guard anyone, run the floor, and finish with authority. Early in the season, the Nuggets had their ups and downs. They looked unstoppable at home but inconsistent on the road. Defensive lapses were frequent, and Michael Malone wasn't shy about calling out his team. He demanded accountability. But as the weeks went by, the chemistry started to form. Jokic, with his unselfish brilliance, became the center of everything. His passing wasn't just great, it was transformative. He made everyone around him better. The offense flowed through him like water finding its natural path. By mid-season, it was clear the Nuggets weren't just good, they were special. Jokic was once again putting up absurd numbers, triple-doubles that looked effortless, games where he controlled tempo without even scoring much. But this time, he had help. Murray's confidence grew with each game. Porter Jr. found. The night they clinched the Western Conference Finals, the celebration was quiet by championship standards. There was joy, laughter, and hugs, but the message inside the locker room stayed the same: for more wins. Nikola Jokic reminded everyone that the job wasn't finished. Jamal Murray, sitting next to him, nodded and said, "We've come too far to stop now." That was the mood in Denver, grounded, hungry, and focused. Their opponent in the NBA Finals would be the Miami Heat, a team that had shocked the basketball world. Miami had entered the playoffs as an 8th seed, barely escaping the play-in tournament, then went on to beat the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, and the Boston Celtics in a dramatic 7-game series. They were led by Jimmy Butler, a relentless competitor who refused to quit, and coached by Erik Spoelstra, one of the best tacticians in basketball. The Heat weren't supposed to be there, but their toughness and belief made them dangerous. For Denver, this was new territory. It was the franchise's first-ever trip to the NBA Finals since joining the league in 1976. The city buzzed with energy. Outside Ball Arena, thousands of fans gathered days before Game 1, waving flags and wearing Jokic jerseys. Inside the practice facility, the players kept their routine. Michael Malone's message was simple: respect your opponent, but don't fear them. Game 1 in Denver began with a wave of emotion. The Nuggets fed off the home crowd, playing with pace and precision. Jokic, as always, dictated the rhythm. In the first half, he barely shot but had already tallied double-digit assists, picking apart Miami's defense. When the Heat tried to double-team him, he found open shooters. When they played him one-on-one, he scored with soft hooks and fakes. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the Nuggets had won 104-93. Jokic finished with 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists, another effortless triple-double. Murray added 26, and Denver had their first finals win in franchise history. But Miami wasn't going to disappear quietly. In Game 2, they adjusted. Spoelstra's defense closed passing lanes, forcing Denver into tougher shots. Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson hit clutch threes, and the Heat clawed their way back. Denver's defense faltered late, and Miami escaped with a 111-108 win, stealing home court advantage. It was a gut-check moment for the Nuggets. The locker room was quiet afterward. Malone called out the lack of focus, saying they hadn't respected their opponent's fight. Jokic didn't argue, he agreed. "We have to be better," he told reporters. "This is the finals. You can't expect it to be easy." That honesty defined the team. Instead of frustration, they responded with discipline. Game 3 in Miami was their answer. The Nuggets entered the hostile Kaseya Center with purpose. Jokic dominated in his usual unhurried way, scoring 32 points, grabbing 21 rebounds, and dishing out 10 assists, the first 30-20-10 triple-double. When the final buzzer sounded and the Denver Nuggets were officially crowned champions of the basketball world, there was a strange kind of silence before the roar. For a moment, everyone seemed to freeze, fans in disbelief, players staring at the scoreboard as if confirming what they already knew. Then the emotion broke loose. The crowd inside Ball Arena erupted into a wave of sound so loud it drowned out everything else. For the first time in franchise history, the Denver Nuggets were NBA champions. Inside the locker room, the atmosphere was chaotic and beautiful. Champagne sprayed in every direction, music blasted, and players laughed like kids. But even in all the noise, there was something grounded about the group. They knew exactly what this meant. This wasn't just about one great season, it was about years of patience, heartbreak, and quiet belief finally rewarded. Jamal Murray, his jersey soaked and his voice cracking, sat in the corner with his head in his hands, crying tears he couldn't hold back. "They said I wouldn't come back the same," he said softly. Teammates surrounded him, hugging him, cheering his name. Every player knew what he had been through, 2 long years of recovery, endless rehab sessions, and the doubt that came with every step. Nikola Jokic, meanwhile, was his usual calm self. When reporters asked how he felt, he smiled and said, "The job is done. We can go home now." It was classic Jokic, understated, almost casual, but deeply real. That's who he was. He didn't play for headlines or attention. He played to win, to make his teammates better, and to enjoy the game. He had become the face of unselfish greatness, proving that intelligence, patience, and teamwork could conquer even a star-driven league. The championship parade took place a few days later under a bright blue Denver sky. Downtown was packed long before sunrise. Thousands of fans lined the streets, waving banners, wearing Jokic and Murray jerseys, and shouting, "Let's go Nuggets," from rooftops and light poles. It was a sea of blue and gold, people of every age, background, and corner of Colorado coming together for one reason. The team rode through the streets on fire trucks and open-top buses, smiling and tossing shirts into the crowd. Aaron Gordon, shirtless and grinning, climbed out to dance with fans. Bruce Brown waved the championship flag. Michael Porter Jr. soaked in every moment, his long journey through injuries finally worth it. Coach Michael Malone stood on the stage at the end of the route, holding the microphone as the crowd quieted. "This is for every fan who believed in us," he shouted. "This is for every player who put in the work when no one was watching. But I've got one thing to say, we're not done yet." The fans screamed even louder. Behind him, Jokic laughed quietly, clearly thinking about home. Later, when asked if he was excited for the parade, he had said, "The parade? No. I want to go home." But when he finally stood on the